Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how to get started using Blitz Relay. Blitz Relay is a simple relay server that allows you to connect players without having to deal with NAT or port forwarding issues. To get started, let's go ahead and download the latest binary for the operating system that we will be running the server on. In my case it's going to be Linux, so I'm going to go to the Releases tab on the repository and download the native x64 executable. You can also download the other versions. There is a slim version which requires the .NET runtime, and there is a standalone version that is slightly slower than the native version in terms of startup speed, but it's slightly smaller as well. Use whichever version is suitable for your use case, and you can also, there are also builds available for Mac OS and Windows. Okay. There's also a zip file or an archive which contains the DLLs required to communicate with Blitz Relay, the protocol DLLs. This allows you to create custom transports or do whatever you want, like protocol testing, etc. on your own. Okay, you can download this if you need, but for our use case, as I mentioned, we will download this native binary. I've already done this, but let's go ahead next and get ourselves a server. In this case, I've got myself a simple Vultr server with one virtual CPU and 1 GB of RAM of memory, and that's pretty much it. I'm not sponsored by Vultr, it's just a test server. Okay, so note down your IP address and your credentials so you can log into your server and then upload the executable to the server. I've already done this, and if I navigate to the temp folder, list the files, I will see that there is a file called Blitz Relay. By default, it's not going to be executable, so you'll have to go ahead and update the permission flags or bits, whatever, to make it executable. So I'm going to say chmod +x and type the file name. Now, the file is executable. Next, let's go ahead and look at the configuration section. Over here, running the server section. Depending on your operating system, you will need to supply these two environment variables. It differs, but most shells like bash, zish, fish, whatever, all of them use a similar syntax to this. In my case, I'm using bash, so I'm going to follow this right here. Alternatively, on Linux, I don't believe this works on Windows, it uses a different syntax. You can just type the environment variable name before you input the executable name. Okay, so I'm going to type the first environment variable name and give it the value of test, and then the second environment variable name and give it the same key test. Then type the executable name preceded by a dot and a /. Now, let's explain what these environment variables are. So the first one is the connection key. The connection key is what your server uses as a key to verify whether the connecting client should be allowed or not. Okay, that means if two different applications use two different keys and one of them tries to connect to your relay with a different key than the one assigned to the relay, the connection key, the relay will reject this client. Basically, this allows you to, this prevents two games from being able to connect to each other's relays. The relay HTTP admin token environment variable is the token used by the built-in HTTP server or API to allow you as an administrator to control the server, like create rooms, delete rooms, list the current rooms, etc. This is useful for creating web UIs or other types of UIs, but basically you need this token in order to interact with the HTTP server. Let's go back to our live server here, and now that we have typed our connection key and admin token, I'm going to press enter, and you can see that the server starts up immediately, and you get these logs here. Ignore them, they're just, noise for now. Now let's go ahead and get the Fish-Networking transport, which is the framework I'm going to be using in this video. It's called Fishy Blitz Relay. you can download it by copying the get URL and adding it as a package in Unity, or downloading the source code as a zip file and extracting it. I have had issues with this get URL in the latest version of Unity, so I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to download the source code and add it to the project. That I've already done. So let's go ahead and walk through the Fish networking and Unity setup. First, you need to have Fish networking installed already. If you don't, nothing will work, because Fishy Blitz Relay relies on the Fish networking transport API. But once you've done that, create a scene and create a game object called Network Manager. On the Network Manager, you need to add a Network Manager component, of course, a Transport Manager, a Player Spawner, if you intend to spawn players, which I assume most games tend to, and then a Blitz Relay Transport. Once you've added the Blitz Relay Transport component, drag it and make sure it is the transport assigned to the transport field. And then let's collapse these guys because we don't really care about them. And let's configure our relay transport. So you have three main configuration fields: address, port, and key. The address and port are very straightforward: the address of the relay server and the port on which the relay is running. In my case, if I go to the server, this is my IB address. So I can put this here, and the port is 7770 by default, as you can see here. You can change this using the -- port flag, something like this, but we don't really need to change it for the purposes of this tutorial. Now, the key is the connection key you assigned or you gave to your application before running it. So it is test in our case. Okay, room code and do not route are out of scope for this video, but do not route is out of scope for this video, but room code is which room code will the client use to connect to the relay. Okay, we'll get to this later to explain it in more detail, but for now, let's go ahead and take a look at our HUD script, which is right over here. As you can see, this HUD script is very simple. It displays a couple of buttons that allow you to join a room, host or create a room, or join or leave a room. Okay. Most of the code here is Fish networking code. So the only parts that are Blitz Relay are at the end. So let's walk through this very quickly. I use an is_host started check to check whether the host has already started or not. If yes, I display a leave button. Otherwise, if the client has started, the client only, not the host, I display a leave button. And if neither the host nor the client have started, I display a host button followed by a text field, which you can input a room code in, and a button that you can press to join the room which you've inputted the room code for. Basically, you see over here that I say instance finder.stop connection in order to stop server or client. And if I want to start the host, I call start connection on the server manager and the client manager. Okay, then I have this check over here, which just validates whether the currently assigned transport is a Blitz Relay transport or not. If not, it's not going to draw the room code text field or the join button. If it is a Blitz Relay transport, we display, as I mentioned, a text field which you type in the room code. Now let's explain what the room code is. Basically, it's an identifier which tells the relay, hey, this client wants to join this room. Think of it as an IP address, for example. When you want to identify a server, you use its IP address, or you use the domain, which points to a specific service running behind a reverse proxy or whatever. But basically, this is just the room identifier. And that's it. Once you have this field right here, you call this method, which is set room code on the Blitz Relay transport to set the room code. And then you call start connection on the client manager. And since you're only trying to join as a client, you don't need to call the start connection method on the server manager. Okay. And that's pretty much it for the UI. Now for the player, I have a very dead simple component here, which is just a cube in the editor with logic that if I'm pressing down the left mouse button, it rotates around the origin of the world, and that's it. Nothing special. And if you're not the owner of this cube, it turns red. If you're the owner, it turns green. Okay. Now let's go back in Unity and let me show you the player prefab just to. Oh, lovely shader compilation Unity. But anyway, you can see that our player script here has, our player game object here has a network object, which is required by all network behaviors, a player script or a player component, and the network transform component. The network transform is used to synchronize the position, rotation, and scale of a network object. So that's why I have it here in order to synchronize the players moving. And that's pretty much it when it comes to setup. We've added the address, we've added the port, we've set the key, and we've started our server on the remote, server, so we can connect to it, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and enter play mode in order to show you how easy it is to create a room. As you can see, the UI, of course, I love Unity so much. Oh, this is actually worse. But anyway, let's go ahead and I think this is good enough. Yeah, this is good enough. You can see here that I have a host button, a room code text field, and a join button as discussed earlier. So all you have to do in order to start a room and join it is click on the host button. And as you can see, our server will tell you that it will log some messages that, hey, someone is trying to connect. This person is trying to connect as a, this client is trying to connect as a host. So create a room for that client, and it creates a room using the default parameters, and then adds that peer or that client to that room as the host, and generates a room code that you can use to connect to this room. Okay, the host automatically gets this room code, but if you check here on the network manager, you can see that it's been automatically assigned for you. Okay, now the game is pretty much this. I press and the cube rotates. Now, when the host leaves via rooms created by a client, when the host leaves a room, oh my god, this is so confusing, but anyway, when a client leaves, or when the host leaves a room that it created, the room will be torn down. Okay, so I'm going to click leave, and you will see that the server says, hey, this peer has disconnected. Let's tear down the room because, well, the host disconnected, and it logs another message to confirm that the peer has completely disconnected. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to exit play mode in order to build the project to show you that how a client can join a room. And in this build, I'm going to click host. So this will create a new room, and you can see that I can click and the cube moves. You can see here. So I'm going to copy this room code and go in the editor, enter play mode, input the room code, and click join. And you can see that over here, the host is moving around. It's the red cube on the client. And on the client, I can still also move like this. And you can see that the position will be synchronized. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please check out Blitz Relay and leave any feedback you have over on the repository as an issue. Make sure to report any bugs and let me know how it goes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.